Good evening. Let us begin quietly and with a hand on your shoulder. You are not being scolded for using affirmations. You are being led to what actually heals. I know you have spoken the best words you knew. I know you have borrowed lines from books, from teachers, and sometimes from scripture itself, and you have laid them like bandages on a weary heart. I will help you, not by giving you brighter words, but by turning you to the place from which words borrow whatever light they seem to have. Here's the plain, counterintuitive truth. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Healing is not produced by the sentence you speak, but by the consciousness in which you stand. Be still and know that I am God. Do you see? The command is not be brisk and say that I am God. It is not vocal cords that do this work. It is realization, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The spirit is not syllables. The spirit is presence realized. Our broad problem has two faces. On one side are the faithful who repeat statements earnestly, even heroically, and grow discouraged because nothing seems to yield. On the other side are the skeptics who laugh at the exercise as so much word magic. Both are reacting to the same mistake, the belief that words are causation. 2 times 2 is 4, whether or not anyone announces it. You do not make 4 by chanting 4. You recognize what is. Likewise, I and the Father are one is not a lever you pull to force unity into place. It is a truth that, when realized, dissolves the appearance of separation. This people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me. The heart is consciousness, the mouth is sound. Do you follow that? Now, do not swing to the other extreme and despise words. At the beginning, a clear sentence can be helpful as you quiet the clamor of thought, what I call priming the pump. But a primer is not the water. Use the word to turn within. Then let the word go before it hardens into a shell over your awareness. When someone calls for help sick, afraid, at the point of perishing, as the disciples cried, you will not minister with an arsenal of quotations. My conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. Then I am silent, not empty, but inwardly alive to presence. If I keep talking, I am likely to interfere with the very thing I am inviting. So I offer you not a debunking for its own sake, but a path of maturation. We will move from declaration to realization, and from realization to the listening ear. We will not ask words to do what only awareness can do. Faith cometh by hearing, and I presume that means more than hearing your own voice. It is hearing the word that God speaks in the temple of your consciousness, the word that does not return void, because it is not sent from a human mouth, but from the Spirit that is your life. In Him we live and move and have our being, whether or not we are reciting it. Our task is to know it. If you will walk with me, we will set aside the pride of vocabulary and the fear of silence. We will learn to live where the sentence points to the IS of God and to God appearing AS individual being. We will let the cliches die on our lips and the presence rise in our hearts. Then you will see why some have much to say and little fruit, and others say almost nothing, and the room grows still with healing. The measure will not be your mood or your eloquence, but the fruitage, the harmonies that appear when you stand in realized oneness. For now, receive this one thing. Words don't heal. Consciousness does. Be still and know. Do you see? Let us look at what so often hides beneath the honest effort to affirm truth. It is a bargain, not always conscious, but a bargain nevertheless. If I say this enough, perhaps God will look my way. Perhaps the body will obey. Perhaps the situation will shift. Do you see the trade? I will give my words, my repetitions, my intensity. You, God, give me the outcome. And if the outcome is delayed, the thought creeps in. I must not have said it right. I must redouble the words. That is not prayer. That is negotiation. It assumes a God outside withholding something that must be levered into place by the force of syllables. The moment you step into that trade, you split your world into two powers, what is versus what you wish were. You enthrone appearance as one power and truth as another, hoping that with pressure the second will overcome the first. But no man can serve two masters. If appearance is a master you fear, and truth is a master you try to hire with affirmations, you have already lost the simplicity of the Lord our God is one Lord. Prayer becomes mental force, an attempt to make omnipresence arrive, as if the sun needed your flashlight to rise. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Taking thought is not the way of spirit. Listen to the aftermath of this bargain. Strain in the neck, a tightness behind the eyes, self-judgment dressed as holiness. You know, the inward verdicts, it didn't work for me. Others must be better. That climate of fear, fatigue, and self-blame is not fruitage. It is the result of trying to make truth happen. Mark this, if your practice leaves you exhausted, angry, or frightened, call it what it is. Not spiritual realization, however beautiful the words may be, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Might and power can repeat truth all night and awaken empty. Spirit speaks once within, and the thing is accomplished. I say this not to discourage you, but to free you from a treadmill. Your Father knoweth what things you have need of before ye ask him. So what is the function of an affirmation? Not to inform omniscience, not to wind up divine machinery, not to push health into place, but to anchor your awareness where reality already is. When the mind is clamorous, a sentence can loosen the knot. It can turn you within. It cannot make God present. God is. It cannot deliver you a second sun. Light is. Use a word to face the light, then let the light reveal itself. Some will say, but I felt better when I repeated it. Perhaps you stepped out of fear for a moment. Good. But measure by fruitage, not by mood. If appearances keep their throne in your days, if problems remain stubbornly personal and powerful, if the relief vanishes when you stop talking, then you were holding a rope you hoped was a snake, or a snake you hoped was a rope playing with suggestion, not resting in God. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, including the man who speaks many truths, and come to the one who is truth itself. Do you follow that? Now, do not draw the wrong conclusion and vow, I will never speak a word again. Extremes are another form of bargaining. This is the adjustment. Understand what words are for. They are signposts to the desert spring, not the water itself. They are the gentle knock at the door, not the guest. At times, a brief, clear statement. God is, I am in God. God is appearing as individual being. Will settle the waves long enough for you to hear. But the hearing is the miracle. Faith cometh by hearing. And the hearing that heals is not your voice echoing in the skull. It is the word within your own consciousness, the Christ utterance that says, peace, be still. And there is a great calm. So we set aside the bargain. We refuse two powers. We stop trying to make tomorrow's truth. We recognize, we consent to what is eternally. When you feel the urge to press your thought against a condition, stop. Be still. Say what turns you inward, briefly, then listen. If peace grows and fear dissolves without your pushing, you are moving from the letter into spirit, and spirit, not effort, will bear witness and fruitage. Do you see? Now we come to the pivot on which this whole work turns. The infinite way is built around a few words, and if they live in you, they will do more than a library of sentences. The first of these words is. The second is as. Do you see? If you carry these two into your practice, you will not be laboring to bring the sun. You will be opening the shutters. Is means now. Not I will be healed. Not harmony will come. Not someday I shall see God. Is. Before Abraham was, I am. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. You are not trying to project a better tomorrow. You are recognizing the fact that God is omnipresence, and therefore harmony is, life is, love is, abundance is, completeness is. This is not optimism. This is not painting bright colors over a dark wall. It is the recognition that reality is established and that your work is to know it as you know 2 times 2 is 4. You do not squeeze 4 out of numbers by assertion. You realize it. Be still and know that I am God. Knowing is the power, is the climate of realization, as reveals the nature of identity. God, the invisible, appears as the visible individual being. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. I and the Father are one. The same Spirit that says, I am that I am, manifests as you, not as a proud personal boast, but as the fact that the life of you is God life and the mind of you is God mind. God appears as your neighbor, too, as the child, the stranger, the clerk at the counter, the one who calls you at midnight. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. That sentence is not locked into the Jordan River 2,000 years ago. It is the eternal recognition of God appearing as individual being. When you behold AS, you stop consulting the fluctuating mask of personality and begin witnessing the presence that wears it. Do you follow that? Let me draw the line between this and positive thinking. Positive thinking tries to persuade thought to be less afraid. It tries to add light by effort. Realization yields to the light that does not argue. It unveils. As does not flatter the human. It unsees the human and beholds the divine identity appearing right where the human seems to be. When you find yourself straining to convince, stop, drop it, return to is and as. In him we live and move and have our being, not later, not by achievement, is. And the one in whom we live appears as us, now how do you work with this without becoming mechanical? Briefly, as you turn within, let a sentence prime the pump. God is. I am in God. God is appearing as individual being. Then let the words go and stand in the felt recognition. If you must, again, harmony is, life is, love is, then silence. Listen. If the mind rushes to paint a picture of a perfect future, correct it gently. Not will be, but is. If the heart clings to a person, correct it tenderly. Not me as a private self, but God as the life that I am and that my neighbor is. Here is the difference the practice will make. Instead of trying to wrestle a condition to the ground, you abide in his present wholeness, and you behold as the one appearing as all. From that altitude, fear has nothing to feed on, and appearances have nothing to argue with. And when the word within speaks, it will be the same word that spoke on Galilee. Peace, be still, and there will be a great calm. Measure by fruitage. If realization is present, harmony appears. The power is not I will declare and make it so, but I realize what is, and I see God as individual being. Do you see? Let us be very simple now. You have a right use of words, and you have a wrong use of words. At the beginning, a clear sentence can steady attention the way a hand moves the handle of a country well. The first strokes pull nothing but air. Then the water begins to rise. Do you see? You do not live at the pump handle. You are not called to stand there all day in feverish motion. Once the water flows, you release the handle and drink. In spiritual practice, that means use the word to turn within, then let the word go so realization can take its place. Why do I warn you against repetition? Because after a few strokes, if you keep jerking that handle, you are no longer helping anything. You are entertaining the mind. Mechanical truth-telling produces no fruitage. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, said the Master. Vain repetition is the letter without life. It is sound without spirit. And which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Taking thought is not our help. When the phrase becomes a drumbeat to drown out fear, you have already granted fear a power to be drowned. You have re-entered the bargain, pressing words against appearances to make truth happen. Drop it. Let the water come. So I give you a minimalist practice. Brief, living phrases that are more like opening shutters than painting the sun on the wall. Harmony is, the Father is here. I and the Father are one. All that the Father hath is mine. God is appearing as individual being. Use 1, use 2, softly, not like commands shouted at the sky, but like keys turning a quiet door. Then stop, be still, and know that I am God. Do you follow that? The purpose of the sentence is to face you in the right direction. It is not the healing. The healing is the impartation that comes in the stillness after you have faced the light. Let me describe the timing. Turn within. For perhaps 20 or 30 seconds, no more than needed. Consciously, no. Omnipresence is. The Father is here. Then hush. Do not keep prodding the mind as if it were a stubborn mule. Spirit is not reluctant. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. You are not summoning God. God is. Your few moments of knowing acknowledge what already is, and your silence consents to hear it. If the mind starts to chatter, you may use again, once. A short line, harmony is, and return at once to listening. Resist not evil. Refuse the temptation to fight thoughts with more thoughts. The battle is not yours, but God's. When a call for help comes, do not become a lecturer. My conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. Then I turn within. Perhaps, Father, thou art here. Peace is. All that the Father hath is mine. Once or twice, and I am quiet. I am not watching the person, not studying the symptoms, not pumping furiously with statements. I am resting in, is, and beholding God as the life right there. In that hush, Faith cometh by hearing, not the hearing of my human voice, but the hearing of the word. God speaks in the temple of consciousness. Sometimes, without a word more, the atmosphere clears, fear loosens, the body responds. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know whether you have stood in realization or in effort. You will learn to recognize the moment the water begins to flow. The words grow transparent. A soft awareness takes their place. The room seems larger on the inside than on the outside. If you feel dryness, strain, or hurry, it is the sign you are at the handle again. Stop. Even a single inward father is enough to turn you Godward. Then silence. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Priming is permission to begin. It is not the work accomplished. The doorway is not the dwelling. Step through. Listen. Let the presence do what presence alone can do. Do you see? Now let us be very plain about a tender matter. There is a kind of truth-telling that hurts. A person calls, frightened, perhaps in pain, perhaps newly bereaved, and into that raw place we pour. There are no accidents in divine mind. Or, you are perfect. It's only an illusion. Those sentences may be metaphysically correct at a certain level, but to the bruised heart they can sound like scolding. A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. Do you see? Ministry is gentle. Ministry does not use the letter of truth as a lash. In a crisis, my conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. Then I turn within. I am not there to audition my vocabulary or to show that I have read the right books. If I talk too much, I am trying to make something happen, to prove I know, to defend myself against the appearance. That is not bearing witness to the Christ. That is anxiety talking through a metaphysical mask. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. Love does not strut as a lecturer when the room is calling for presence. I will help you. Then silence. The Father is here. Harmony is, and I listen. What is the fruit of our speech when we rush to explain? Often resentment, or shame, or the hardening that says you don't understand me. Measure by fruitage. If your words leave another feeling blamed or dismissed, if their shoulders tighten, if the room grows brittle, you have not helped. However orthodox your doctrine, that is not spirit. That is the arm of flesh. Words without life. Let your speech be always with grace. And grace is felt as tenderness, as rest. True help leaves behind a softened atmosphere, a sense that God is here, that the burden has been shared by one larger than we are. Do you follow that? Let me be candid. I resented very much when, in a time of strain, someone begins to recite at me, not because the words are untrue, but because they are unloving. They are not listening. They are performing. And performance is always divisive. You over there in need. I over here with truth. But in is and as, there is no over here and over there. Omnipresence is, and God appears as individual being. This one, that one, the caller, the practitioner. When I rest in that realization, I am not trying to win an argument with appearances. I am witnessing the one where two seem to be, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me and I in thee. So what do we do instead of talking? We do the work. We turn within and refuse the temptation to personalize the appearance. This fear, this symptom, this grief, it is not a person, not a law, not a power. Hypnotic suggestion only, the snake in the rope. the white poodle that never was. Drop it. Resist not evil. Stand still. Let a brief inward knowing prime the pump. The Father is here. I and the Father are one. This is my beloved Son. And then be quiet. The word that heals is not your cleverness. It is the impartation of spirit within your own consciousness. If you are faithful in this, you will find that the fewer your words, the greater your fruitage. People will feel met, not managed. They will sense, without your saying it, peace, be still, and there will be a great calm. This is the difference between metaphysical talk and ministry. Talk tries to say something brilliant about God. Ministry bears silent witness to God as the very life at hand. True help is realized presence that blesses without wounding. Let that be your standard. I will help you. Then, within, Father, thou art here and listen. Let us take the next step, and it is a freeing one. What confronts you is not a person, not a condition, not a law, not a power. It is hypnotic suggestion, mesmerism, only the universal belief in two powers, trying to state itself as your fear, your symptom, your lack. Do you see? The arm of flesh. Nothing. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not to argue with the picture, it is to know what stands behind the picture. When you stop treating the appearance as a someone or a something, you stop feeding it with your attention, and at that instant its seeming force begins to crumble. Our masters have showed this again and again. The master turned to Peter and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." He did not hate Peter. He named the impersonal tempter that had slipped its thought through a friend's lips. Paul said, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, not against persons, not against bodies, but against suggestions, principalities of belief." When you see this, fear loosens, because you are no longer facing a powered opponent. It is the snake in the rope. In the dusk, it looks alive. You leap back. Your heart races. When the light comes, you see rope only, and the fear evaporates because there is nothing there to fear. It is the non-existent white poodle. Some of you have heard me speak of people run, they call for help, and then someone turns on the light and there is no poodle. You do not need courage to face a nothing. You need light. This is why affirmations stumble at this point. When you aim words at a thing, you have already accepted a thing. You have enthroned a second power and are now trying to hire truth to defeat it. Even if your sentence reads well, its hidden admission is, "You are something, now be gone." That is worship of appearance in reverse. "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." If the condition can dictate your tone, your tempo, your volume, you are kneeling to it. Resist not evil. Do not push on it with the arm of metaphysical flesh. Drop it. Turn from it as from a shadow that has frightened a child, and lift the shade. Here is the practice. On any call for help, give not a thought to the person or the condition. Do not picture a body. Do not run your mind over symptoms. Do not ask for details. Drop it. Do not fight it. Do not analyze it. Do not worship it with attention. Rest a moment in a brief knowing the Father is here. Omnipresence is I and the Father are one. Then be still. The instant you feel your thought fastening again to a person, correct gently. Not a person, not a law, not a power, only suggestion. Snake in the rope, white poodle that never was. And back at once to is and as. God is. And God appears as individual being. Do you follow that? You will notice how quickly strain dissolves when the personal hook is removed. Anger has no one to accuse. Fear has nothing to measure. Pity has no patience to sentimentalize. The atmosphere softens because there is no longer a duel. The battle is not yours, but God's. In that quiet, you can behold reality without effort. You are free to recognize, this is my beloved son, right where a frightened face seemed to be, not by argument, but by sight. And as recognition flowers, fruitage appears, not your mood, not your cleverness, but harmony. Sleep where there was agitation, order where there was confusion, release where there was binding. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know whether you have fed the suggestion or deprived it of your belief. Keep this standard before you. If you catch yourself mentally prosecuting a case, marshaling facts, quoting truths at a condition you have believed in two powers again, stop, drop it, turn on the light. Be still and know that I am God. In that knowing, the rope is seen as rope, the room is free of imaginary dogs, and what remains to be done is simple seeing. This frees you for the next movement of the work, the pure recognition of identity without strain, and the listening that lets the word speak itself within. Do you see? We are ready now for the gentlest and most powerful movement of the work, from striving to seeing. Having refused the temptation to grapple with a person or a condition, you are free to behold identity. Not a better human, not a repaired history, but the Christ of God right where a face seems to be. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is recognition. It is the eye turned inward to the source and then outward through the transparency of is and as. Do you see? We are not fixing, we are beholding. Here is the simple practice. Allow the mind to rest from its measuring a name, silently. This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Not as flattery, not as a tonic you hope will improve a person, but as spiritual identification. God the invisible appears as Son the visible. God is manifest as individual being. When you say, this is my beloved son, you are not crowning a personality. You are acknowledging God as the life, as the mind, as the substance of this one. You are looking back of the eye, past the mask of fear, past the story and beholding the one. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. Not because the human is divine, but because the divine is all that is truly here as this individual life. Do you follow that? This recognition demands an unseeing. You must unsee human evil and human good as final. Evil is easy to unsee when you are tired of it. Human good is more subtle because it flatters. But both belong to the same fluctuating sense of personhood. We are not despising either. We are refusing to take either as identity. We are looking through both to the invisible source appearing as this one. The lie of a sinner is dropped. The pride of a saint is dropped. And right there the Son stands revealed. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine, ever with me, not achieved by effort, not granted as a reward ever. Our practice is to see that everness, not to paint a halo on a changing mask. Try it in the small moments. In the market, the clerk fumbles and the line grows restless. You feel the wave of irritation rise. Drop it. Turn a hair's breadth within. The Father is here. Then look back of the eye, not at mannerisms, not at speed, and recognize, this is my beloved Son. You will see how quickly compassion becomes steady, not sentimental but grounded. Or in the home, a child is afraid at night. Do not bargain with outcomes. Do not argue away the fear with speeches. Sit quietly. Breathe the one presence. Behold the sun. Often, without a word, the atmosphere loosens and the fear ebbs because you have stopped feeding a second power and have begun witnessing the one. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know whether you have seen. Notice also what happens in you. As seeing replaces striving, fear has less to cling to. The mind stops negotiating with God. If only this, then I will that, because in, is, and as there is nothing to negotiate. Omnipresence is. Identity is. I and my Father are one. The prayer that once pushed becomes vision that rests. You are not pleading for a different scene. You are beholding the divine sun within the scene. We walk by faith, not by sight. And here faith is sight, the inner seeing that reveals what is already true. At times, you will feel the recognition speak itself. You will turn, and before a sentence forms at the surface, the deep word utters, "This is my beloved Son." And with that word, your seeing becomes God's self-knowing through you. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. That is the maturity of practice. No longer you declaring truth at life, but truth declaring itself within your consciousness and as your very capacity to behold. Faith cometh by hearing, hearing the word in the temple of your own being. And when you have heard, the outer agrees, the room grows still, the face softens, the body yields. Not because you argued down an appearance, but because you recognized what is. Keep this standard tender and exacting on any contact. Drop the personal lens, unsee the human verdicts favorable or unfavorable, and behold the sun. If you cannot yet feel it, prime the pump with a single line. The Father is here. This is my beloved Son. And then be quiet enough to see. The practice is simple, but it is not lazy. It will call you out of cleverness into fidelity. And its proof will not be your mood or your vocabulary, but the fruitage of recognition, harmony appearing without strain because the one has been witnessed where two seem to be. Do you see? Now we come to the listening itself. The highest practice is not speaking truth at your mind. It is hearing truth within your consciousness. Do you see? We began with a letter to face us Godward. We primed the pump. We learned to unsee the person and behold the sun. Now we let the inner government take the reins. I live, yet not I, Christ liveth in me. That is not a figure of speech. It is a change of authorship. The pressure shifts from personal effort to divine activity. Your major activity becomes receptivity. Your work is to be the hearing, not the speaker. The open window, not the sun. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing is imparted. Your stillness is consent. What does this feel like? Less mental motion, fewer words, more authority, without noise. There is a soft certainty, unlabored, unargued, that settles like light in a room before sunrise. You are not persuading yourself. You are being assured. My sheep hear my voice, said the Master. And the voice is not audible sound. It is an inner rightness that requires no defense. Often it registers first as peace, a release in the atmosphere, a slackening of urgency, then clarity. Then, at times, a sentence forms of itself, not manufactured. This is my beloved Son. Peace, be still. And when it speaks with weight. You recognize the difference immediately. It is not your mind straining. It is the word declaring itself where you are. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. Here is the simple sequence. First, a brief priming, 10, 20 seconds at most. Father, thou art here. Harmony is. I and the Father are one. Second, turn all the way inward. Close the door of thought and rest that little while. Third, listen without hunting for words. Let the mind be like a still pond, not a churning mill. If a thought pushes, do not wrestle. Let it pass like a cloud. If you need a touchstone, once only, the Father is here. Then silence again. Fourth, rest in the felt realization when it comes. Do not chase a sensation. Consent to an authority deeper than sensation. The sign is quiet dominion, not thrill. And after the fire, a still small voice. Do you follow that? This listening is not indolent. It is the receptive side of true labor. It will ask you for fidelity, a minute or two, many times a day, wherever you are, between tasks, before a call, after a headline, at a red light, on waking, on lying down prime briefly, and listen. The goal is not to have a long meditation. The goal is to live from impartation, to let Christ live your life. You will find that as this matures, even in conversation, you can listen within while words flow without. The inner ear remains tilted to God, and the outer speech takes on grace. You will be told what to say or not say. Often, you will be told to be still. How do you measure it? By fruitage, not by how sweet the silence felt. If realization is present, the evidence appears. The call quiets. Pain eases. Confusion sorts itself without argument. A needed supply arrives on a path you did not arrange. An apology you could not have demanded comes freely. Or a next step is given with such calm authority that fear cannot attach to it. And sometimes no outer change is immediate, yet the fear is gone, and the scene loses power to dictate terms. That, too, is fruitage, and often the outer follows swiftly after. The kingdom of God is within you. When the government shifts within, the realm shows forth without. If you sit and rise with only a pleasant blank, return to the sequence. Short truth, inward turn, quiet listening, resting in the impartation, keep words few, keep stillness honest. And above all, keep the measure clear, harmony revealed. This is not an emotional jag. It is God announcing himself where you are. Let the Christ be the speaker and you the ear. Stand by in consciousness until that inner yes felt as peace, clarity, and unlabored authority registers. Then move when moved, speak when given, and be content to let presence do the work. Do you see? Let us be very practical now. If realization is present, harmony appears. Ye shall know them by their fruits, not by the warmth of your feeling, not by the splendor of your vocabulary, but by your life experience, by the fruitage. Do you see? The test is simple and it is merciful. Are problems giving way more quickly and more quietly? Is there less struggle to bring about good and more discovering that good is? The kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. Let me describe what I mean by fruitage. Calls for help that once agitated you now grow still in your presence, and often without many words. Bills that used to clatter in your mind like loose pans find their arrangement. Supply appears along lines you did not blueprint, and with less delay in the body. Symptoms that had a long history lose their argument. Fear withdraws its claws. The atmosphere softens. Sleep returns. At work, confusion that once required a committee to untangle eases when you enter the room. and no one can say why, except that clarity seems to sit down with you. In the home, tempers that flared like dry brush now kindle less and less, not because you police everyone, but because the Christ recognized as the life of each one disarms the duel. This is fruitage. This is the evidence of consciousness. Now a warning, and take it kindly. Emotional uplift is not proof. Goose flesh is not proof. A dramatic declaration is not proof. Faith without works is dead. If discord persists and multiplies while you are working, examine whether you are still battling appearances with words. If you rise from practice with a flush of triumph, but find the same quarrel awaiting you day after day, ask very quietly, have I turned within to hear, or have I shouted affirmations at a picture? If you leave a conversation about healing and everyone seems defended, corrected, or shamed, you may have used the arm of flesh words where presence was called for. Do you follow that? Here is a conditional you can trust. If there is more noise in you after practice than before, you were not listening. You were insisting. If the same pattern returns with the same sting, you have probably personalized it again, made it a someone or a something, and then hired truth to fight it, drop it. Return at once to is. Omnipresence is. And to as, God appearing as individual being. Rest there, but truly rest, without argument, and then let the word announce itself. The proof will be in what yields. You will notice fruitage also in your relationships. Gentler speech, fewer arguments, more capacity to help without controlling others. You will find that I will help you becomes an atmosphere rather than a performance. You will say fewer clever things and cause less hurt. People will relax around you, not because you have become a diplomat, but because you are not trying to make something happen to them. Let your speech be our way with grace. Grace is the felt absence of compulsion. When God is recognized as the life of this one and that one, the restless urge to adjust them recedes. You can be firm without hardness, clear without scolding, silent without withholding love. That is fruitage. Do not hear this as condemnation. Hear it as guidance. The fruitage test is not a judge's gavel. It is a compass. If the needle points away from harmony, you are not wrong. You are simply being shown the way back to the living practice. Turn again to the sequence. Brief truth to face you Godward, the dropping of the person and the condition, the beholding of the beloved Son, the listening for the still small voice. Keep the measure honest. If realization is present, harmony appears. If harmony does not appear, keep still until realization is present. Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only. The doing here is the listening that lets truth do its own work. Measure by fruitage, and let that measure continually return you to is and as until it becomes your natural climate. Do you see? Let us put this on the ground where you live, from waking to sleeping. Practice is not a mood. It is a rhythm of returns. The way to make is and as natural is to meet the ordinary with holy economy, one sentence, then silence, one recognition, then release. On waking, before your feet touch the floor, pause. Father, thou art here. Omnipresence is. I and the Father are one. Then be still. 20, 30 seconds of honest receptivity. Not hunting for a feeling, consenting to the government of God. Be still and know that I am God. That first recognition is like setting a keel. Your day will take its line from it. Do you see? At meals, do the same. Let gratitude be acknowledgement, not persuasion. Thou preparest a table before me. Supply is. Life is. The food is not your source. It is God appearing as this provision. Then silence. 2 breaths. You will find that even digestion is eased when fear of lack is off the table, when handling money, checking a ledger, paying a bill, receiving a wage. Stop one moment. Substance is spirit. Omnipresence is the law of my being. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Refuse the picture of lack or pressure. That is only suggestion. The arm of flesh, a snake in the rope. Drop it. Return to is, then continue. Not with bravado, but with the quiet that knows source, not circumstance, holds the field before meetings, before speaking with a client, a child, a neighbor. Prime the pump. The Father is here. God appears as individual being, this one, that one. Let a single inward recognition pass over the room. This is my beloved Son. Then release. You are not trying to influence people. You are acknowledging identity. Carry the listening ear into the conversation. Speak when given. Keep words few when the inner witness is quiet. Let your speech be always with grace. Grace will show you when silence is the greater gift. When alarming news comes, a headline, a diagnosis, a sudden report, refuse the momentum. Do not bow to a second power by racing to outshout it. Drop it. Not a person, not a law, not a power suggestion only. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Omnipresence is Christ. The life of everywhere is not absent from that place. Pause until the inward assurance registers, even slightly. Then proceed with whatever wise step is yours. But under the one government, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Now the crisis protocol, and keep it simple. When the call comes, outwardly, I will help you. Inwardly, close the door. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Do not rehearse symptoms. Do not gather details to comfort your intellect. Drop it. Hypnotic suggestion only. The Father is here. I and the Father are one. This is my beloved Son. Be still until peace, or a word with weight, is imparted. If speech is given, let it be short and tender. If none is given, let silence carry the presence. Before they call, I will answer. The fruitage will show whether realization is present. Do not try to make a demonstration, bear witness, and stand by in consciousness. Consistency over intensity, take that as law. Many brief turnings in a day do more than an occasional long strain. Pray without ceasing does not mean ceaseless talking to God. It means ceaseless consenting to God. Put small margins of silence around common acts on waking, before you open mail, before you answer a text, when you park the car at the door of your home, a sentence, then listening. As you practice, you will notice the need for affirmations thinning, not because you disdain words, but because you have outgrown the need to push. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. The letter still has its place to prime the pump, but the flow is Spirit's impartation. Do you follow that? If you are faithful in this, the climate of consciousness shifts. You will find that more and more, the default is not anxious thinking, but quiet recognition. You will catch yourself about to speak, and you will hear within, wait. Or you will be tempted to correct someone, and the inner ear will say, be still. And you will be led by your life experience, By the fruitage, you will know it is so. Less strain, more order discovered, help given without injury. Keep at it. This is not a lazy man's work. It is steady cultivation. But the yoke is easy when you are not dragging the cart of appearances with you. Return and return again to is and as until realization, not words, becomes the air you breathe. Do you see? Now that listening has taken its rightful place, let us restore the words to theirs. Words are auxiliaries. Do you see? They are like small lamps along a path at dusk, helpful for orientation, not the light of day itself. When realization has begun to anchor you, a few words can serve as gentle signposts, turning you back to awareness, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The authority is spirit. The word on your lips may accompany that authority. It is not the authority. Never reverse that order. How will you know you are using words rightly again? There is no push in them. They do not argue. They remind. They do not bargain. They bear witness. A line like, Father, thou art here, or omnipresence is, will arise not as a tool you wield against a condition, but as a soft bell recalling the heart to its sanctuary. The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. When the word is nigh in that way, it is not a performance. It is recognition clothing itself momentarily in syllables as it turns you into silence. Guardrails will keep the auxiliaries from pretending to be the authority. Avoid long lists. The longer the list, the more likely the self is trying to hypnotize itself. Keep to is and as. Harmony is, life is, God is appearing as individual being. I and the Father are one. Avoid bargaining language. I will get, I will make, I will demonstrate. That is the old hidden bargain, trying to make truth happen. Drop it. Recognize. Avoid conflict language with appearances. I deny you, I cast you out. That accepts a second power and hires truth as a club. Resist not evil. Turn the light instead. A single, accurate line. Then listening, that is the safe road. You will also notice a change in the emotional climate. The tone is quieter, steadier, less desperation, less performance, spirituality, more compassion. There is no need to display knowing. Truth does not shout. Let your words be few. When the inner government is felt, even a whisper is enough, or none at all. The heart that once clung to sentences now rests in presence and uses a sentence as a door handle, not as a battering ram. Do you follow that? Here is how it looks in practice. You feel the old wave of fear stir. In the past, you would unroll a carpet of declarations. Now you turn, Father, thou art here, and you stop. You listen. A moment later, the atmosphere loosens. Perhaps a further word is given, peace, be still, or perhaps only a deeper quiet. Or you are with a friend in distress. Outwardly, I will help you. Inwardly, this is my beloved son. Then silence. If anything more is to be said, it will be given of itself, and it will be tender. Words are now the garment of realized presence, not a substitute for it. If you find yourself reaching for phrases with haste, slow down. The haste is the signal that you have stepped away from listening. Return at once to is and as. A single true line is enough to prime the pump. Then let spirit impart truth. That is the order. From declaration to realization to listening. And by your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know whether you have kept the order. Harmony appears when the word is heard within. Confusion and strain return when the letter tries to do the Spirit's work. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. This, then, is the integration. We do not despise words. We retire them from pretending to be power and employ them as quiet guides back to the presence. Let them arise briefly, accurately, as and then lay them down. Be content for the authority to be God's, for the impartation to be God's, and for your part to be receptivity and witness. If you are faithful to this, the vocabulary may thin while the fruitage multiplies. And if ever a sentence is needed, it will be given in the hour. It shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. Your assurance will not be in the sentence, but in the presence that close it. Do you see? We are ready to close. And let it be sober, simple, and sure. The way has been this: from striving words to IS and AS, to depersonalizing the picture, to beholding, this is my beloved Son, to the listening ear where truth declares itself. Do you see? That is the arc, not the letter in charge, but the Spirit imparting, not willpower, but isness, not a person or a condition to fix, but God appearing as individual being to be recognized. Now be reassured. You are not being asked to become silent and blank. You are being asked to become receptive and alive to Spirit. Be still and know that I am God. Not a vacancy, but a presence. My sheep hear my voice. The voice is not noise. It is authority felt within peace first, then clarity, then if need be a word with weight. This work does not make you less. It reveals the true you. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. The faculties are not dulled, they are governed. The heart is not emptied, it is filled with quiet dominion. In that stillness you are most awake. Here is the quiet demand, and I give it to you with love. Do the daily work. Prime the pump briefly. Turn from person and condition. Behold the sun. Listen. Do this many times a day. Keep it simple. Keep it faithful. And measure by fruitage. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Not by your vocabulary, not by a glow in the chest, but by your life experience. If realization is present, harmony appears. If not, return and be still until the word is heard within. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Do you follow that? In a crisis, keep this standard. Outwardly, I will help you. Inwardly, drop the whole drama. Not a person, not a law, not a power suggestion, only the arm of flesh, a snake in the rope. Judge not according to the appearance. The Father is here. I and the Father are one. This is my beloved Son. Then listen. Stand by in consciousness. If a word is given, let it be tender and few. If none is given, let presence be the ministry. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The fruitage will bear witness. Let the evidence appear of itself. I want you to take courage. You can help, and you will be helped as you learn to rest in what is. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. That kingdom is not postponed. It is within. As you live this way, rooms will grow quiet when you enter. Confusions will sort themselves without debate. Bodies will yield their fear. Supply will appear along lines you did not arrange. Relationships will soften without your control. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. This is not performance spirituality. It is God announcing himself where you are, as you, and through you to bless. So here is the charge. Stand in realized presence. Keep to is and as. Depersonalize the picture at once. Behold the beloved Son. Then listen. Let the inner government lead, and let your only boast be the fruitage. If there is noise, return to stillness. If there is pressure, refuse a second power. If there is delay, do not bargain. Consent. Day by day, moment by moment, let the authority be God's and the witness be yours. I will help you, and I ask you to help by standing by in consciousness wherever you are, for whomever calls, and for the whole world that seems to ache. Let the presence do the work. My grace is sufficient for thee. Rest there, be grateful, and let the evidence appear as fruitage. Thank you.